Astrological forecast for November 2025 for representatives of the sign of Capricorn. November 2025 for you is a very unusual time, both in terms of events and sensations. You may have a feeling that all this is not what it seems, that everything has hidden motives, a double bottom. And if we are talking about people, then you may have confidence that they have certain secret thoughts that they are hiding from you. And it would seem that here, with such plots, it is worth slightly reducing the pace of life, to think about everything, to find the reasons, to dig into something, to get to the primary sources of some events. But in reality, November 2025 will not give such a pause, will not give an opportunity to reduce the pace, even despite retrograde Mercury and Mars in your 12th astro field. Throughout the month, your 11th house of the horoscope will be very active. This is the sector of social contacts and social activity. Therefore, calls, conversations, meetings, correspondence, all this will be very much. There will be many invitations from which one should not refuse. That is, life around you will be boiling and bubbling, but still periodically you will have such a clear internal need to remove this mask of an active and sociable person, and to be alone with yourself, with your thoughts, to tune in with yourself in space, to enjoy peace, contemplation, and solitude in order to restore strength. Again, throughout this month it is important not to believe everyone and everything. And not at all because someone is trying to deceive you, but because now is indeed such a time when all this is not what it seems. It is rather difficult to give a correct assessment to what is happening. Therefore, with conclusions, one should not hurry here. Here it is important to remember that your opinion about some situation or some person, whatever it may be throughout November, it will then subsequently change. This factor is important to take into account. Two tense aspects of this month, which await us on November 4 and 19, aspects that will be given by Uranus. This speaks to the fact that here there can be unforeseen and unexpected events. Here there can be disruptions and changes in your plans, which may be connected either with your personal decision, but rather with the will of circumstances. The period from November 4 to December 16 for your sign is an important time. This is such a preparatory stage when you need to sort out those matters that you know that they still need to be completed, but which you have been postponing for a long time. Retrograde Jupiter throughout November. It will return to you missed opportunities. It will help restore important and useful connections for you. Connections as relationships with other people. And this can concern the personal, friendly, or business environment. Let us discuss in more detail the most important events of November and their influence on your sign step by step. On November 2, the planet Venus will be in a tense aspect in relation to the planet Jupiter, which will be affecting your 11th and 7th astrofield. On this day, someone from the people whom you consider your friends may try to control you or manipulate you. And this can be very unpleasant for you. Your thoughts throughout this day may, so to speak, be in the clouds. That is, doing one task, one process, you in reality may be thinking about completely different things. That is, thoughts and practical matters, they will go in different planes. Also throughout this day, there can be some misunderstandings connected with your work, with your interaction with clients. On November 4, in the starry sky, the most tense aspect of this month will form. This is an aspect of opposition between Mars and the planet Uranus. This is a time when there can be unforeseen disruptions, some events that you did not expect. And this first of all can concern work processes or your relationships with colleagues or clients. Here the rhythm of your employment or your partners in your personal life can change. This day is rather turbulent. Here there can be disruptions in plans, haste and competition can be felt. Therefore, for this day it is better not to plan the resolution of some important questions. And also Uranus, which will be the main participant of this aspect, it symbolizes electricity and electrical appliances. And Mars, it shows that here there will be some tension. Therefore, in general, this is, figuratively speaking, a day of high tension, and caution is needed in handling electrical appliances. Mars on this day, November 4, it transitions into the space of the sign Sagittarius, into your 12th house of the horoscope, where it will be located right up until December 16. When Mars, the planet of activity, transits through our 12th concluding house of the horoscope, then for us this is a time to sort out the so-called long box, to put things in order in those matters that we have been postponing for a long time, but knew that sooner or later we would have to deal with these questions. Therefore, this time from November 4 to December 16 for you is such a preparatory stage for the start of your new cycle, when you have the time and opportunity to sort out matters that you have been postponing for a long time. This is a good time to put things in order. Order in your thoughts, in your secret relationships, order in your home and in your closets, including, since the 12th house, in which Mars will be located, it on the level of our dwelling symbolizes hidden premises. These are various kinds of storage rooms. These are places where we store our things. On November 5, a full moon occurs in the sign of Taurus in your 5th house of the horoscope. The full moon is completion, culmination, it is clarity, and the 5th house is the house of joy. This is the house that symbolizes our emotions, feelings, being in love, symbolizes our children and our creative projects, our passion, our hobby, everything that we choose in our life, basing on the voice of our heart. This full moon shows that here there can be a bright event in questions of personal life. If your work is of a creative nature, then this is a period when you can complete work on some creative project, or for now you will only form an idea of how exactly it is necessary to do, to execute this project. Also here there can be an important event in matters that are connected with your children. Also on this day you can receive an invitation to some festive event, and from this invitation one should not refuse. On November 6, the planet Venus transitions into your 11th house of the horoscope, where it will be located right up until November 30. Venus brings improvement into that sector through which it transits. The 11th house is the house of social activity. Therefore, this time from November 6 to November 30 is a period when you can receive various kinds of bonuses. Bonuses such as, for example, discounts on a product of interest to you, bonuses as a premium at work, or bonuses as a lot of attention in relation to you. This is a good time for the sphere of personal life, since you will be on flirting, on pleasant and light communication. This is a time when you can have meetings with your longtime friends, and these can be representatives of water signs, that is, the sign of Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. On November 8, the planet Uranus, the planet of the future, revolutionary Uranus returns briefly, right up until April 26, 2026, returns into your 5th house of the horoscope. Uranus was located here for a very long time, since 2018, and this could radically change the situation in personal life, in questions that concern your children and your preferences, your tastes. And also here it could radically change the style of your work. Then Uranus briefly left this sector and now returns here with a control visit, a concluding visit. This again can give you unusual passions. There can be bright events in the sphere of personal life. There can be new interests of your children, new plans connected with children. Also, this is a time when you can become passionate about some new hobby. Whatever it may be, for some it can be knitting, and for someone a passion for dancing or some games. That is, the period from November 8, 2025 to April 26, 2026 is a time when Uranus will again bring you some renewal of your passions. This can also play out in the sphere of your personal life. In the period from November 9 to November 29, the planet Mercury will be in retrograde motion, which will be affecting your 12th and 11th astro field. Mercury symbolizes thoughts, words, logic, conversations, memory. And when it goes in retrograde motion, then we rethink something, think over once again, discuss, or change our opinion and our decision. And when retrograde Mercury affects the 12th and 11th astro fields, then this is a time when you can resume some processes. This can be connected with your work, with your passions, and also with your relationships. This is a time when that which seemed completed will again receive an impulse for development. For example, when you wanted to create a website or even started, but then abandoned it, and now a desire will appear again to bring this to a result. Or once wanted to study something, but there was no time, there was no such opportunity, and now you will decide that it is time. Now it is necessary to sort this out. That is, this is a time when you can resume some processes that you wanted to start but did not start, or that you were once engaged in but then abandoned. On November 12, retrograde Mercury will be in conjunction with the planet Mars in your 12th house of the horoscope. This is an important control point. This is a day when you can make a decision, which you will begin to carry out a little later, approximately from the middle of January 2026. And this decision or this conclusion, it will become key, turning. This is a time when you will understand what precisely the world is trying to teach you, by giving in your life analogous or similar situations. That is, this decision, it may not be global, large scale, but in reality it will play a key role, but a little later. And on this same day, November 12, the planet Jupiter, the most generous planet of the solar system, turns into retrograde motion, which will last right up until March 11, 2026. Retrograde Jupiter, it gives an opportunity to use missed chances, to try oneself again in some direction. That is, gives an opportunity to use those chances that were before us throughout the past 8 months. And considering that Jupiter will be turning in your 7th house of the horoscope, here there can be repeated opportunities connected with cooperation with some people. Also, this can concern opportunities connected with your children, their education, their learning. And also here there will be some interesting, probably repeated plots connected with the sector of personal life. In more detail about the influence of retrograde Jupiter on each of the zodiac signs, about this I will make a separate video. On November 19, in the starry sky, the second tense aspect of November will form. This is an aspect of opposition between Mercury and the planet Uranus. This aspect will be affecting your 5th and 11th astro field and can bring surprises, an unexpected meeting, a call, unexpected information, an unexpected proposal. In general, this is an aspect of freedom. Therefore, you throughout this day will want to act in your own way, will want to go against something or someone, will want to act against the rules or someone's expectations. Here there can be disputes that are connected with children or with some organizational moments. Much on this day can go not according to plan. Therefore, for this day, one should not plan the resolution of some important questions. And also, again, caution is needed in matters connected with electricity and electrical appliances. One should not on this day break rules, traffic rules including. On November 20, a new moon occurs in the sign of Scorpio in your 11th house of the horoscope. The new moon is the birth of new energy, it is new plots, and the 11th house is the house of our social activity. Therefore, here you can join new collectives of people, both in reality and, for example, in new social groups in a Telegram channel. This is a time when you may be invited to some events. There can be acquaintances with new people, and also interesting proposals that in the future promise good profit or are simply interesting for you. That is, this is a time that will bring some new plans, new plots, or new acquaintances. Also, this is a time when you can receive some new information about your brother or sister. A meeting can take place, or you can go somewhere together. Also, the 11th house is the house of the internet. And at this time, you can search for some information important for you through the internet or make purchases through online stores. Also, the 11th house is the house of our picture of the future. And on this day, you may have new plans. This can be for now even not in the form of concrete thoughts and clearly developed plans, but this can be in the form of images, desires, and a little later this will transform into concrete practical plans. On November 21, the planet Mercury will be in conjunction with the black moon in your 11th house of the horoscope. Mercury is thoughts, words, logic, memory, and the black moon is an energy that distorts all these manifestations of Mercury. That is, on this day we can be either overly trusting or, on the contrary, too suspicious. On this day, attentiveness is needed in your communication, interaction with other people. By such an aspect, we just usually buy such things that we then do not wear, do not use, and in general are surprised why we bought this. That is, this is a day when our expectations may turn out to be completely unjustified. On November 24, this is also an important control point of this month. On this day, the planet Mars, the source of strength, energy, and actions, will be in tense aspects in relation to the karmic lunar nodes. This is an aspect that will be affecting your 12th, 3rd, and 9th houses of the horoscope. Mars happens in such an aspect to the karmic nodes approximately once a year, but exactly the same aspect as now, affecting the same spheres of your life, the same houses of the horoscope, the same zodiac signs. This aspect the last time was on January 2, 2007. That is, this is a rather rare aspect, and in essence, this is a day of a fork in the road. This is a moment when Mars finds itself between the past and the future. This is a day when we assess our past path, assess how correct was once our choice of our own strategy. We suddenly understand which our mistake became key. Moreover, over a long period of time, that is since 2007, we suddenly understand why our life resembles running in a circle, why we encounter analogous situations. Yes, under different circumstances and decorations, but the essence of these situations is analogous. We suddenly understand the cause and understand which strategy we need to choose now. In more detail about this interesting astrological aspect, I will also make a separate video. On November 25, the planet Mercury will be in conjunction with the planet Venus in your 11th house of the horoscope. This is an aspect of light, pleasant, and optimistic communication. On this day, you can receive good news. There can be interesting invitations, proposals. You can communicate with pleasant people for you. Also, this aspect can speak of advantageous purchases, and in general of the fact that this day is successful for various kinds of presentations, self-presentations, for performances, for advertising your goods or services. On November 28, the planet Venus will be in conjunction with the black moon, again in your 11th house of the horoscope. Venus symbolizes everything that we like, everything that we consider beautiful, everything from which we receive pleasure. And the black moon, it distorts this energy. This is a day when we can spend more than we planned. This is a day when we can say something superfluous about ourselves and thereby cause envy. This is a day when we can find out that behind our back something is being said, something is being whispered about, that we are being discussed. Also on this day, attentiveness is needed in relation to new acquaintances and new proposals, since all this may seem very tempting, but not be such. On November 30, the planet Venus changes sign and transitions into your 12th house of the horoscope. And this is a time when you can dream of solitude, of going to some pleasant and cozy place for you. Also, this is a time when you can feel such excitement, pleasant excitement, which speaks of the fact that very soon that which you dream about will be fulfilled. But in more detail about this aspect, we will talk with you in the horoscope for December. That is how, from the point of view of astrology, November 2025 will be. And I wish you a wonderful, successful month, dear Capricorns.